Hey everybody, my name is Gary. I am the founder and creative director here at Capital Content, and I'm going to go through a presentation with you about how to make the most of LinkedIn now. So we're going to cover off today who I am and why I'm standing in front of you doing this presentation. We're going to cover off why LinkedIn and how to use the platform effectively. We're going to break down a profile, specifically my profile, to help you get the most out of each different section. We're then going to break down a post and make sure that we get every element in there to make the most out of its organic reach. And then I'm going to quickly go through my top 10 hacks. So let's get started. So over the last kind of 15, 20 odd years, I've kind of separated my life into three different sections: my jobs, my career, and my calling. So my jobs I've had as a real estate agent or a factory worker, and also a removal man back in the day. So for my career, I actually got relocated by Vodafone to New Zealand for 10 years. And during that time, I was a global corporate account manager, but behind the scenes I was a creative, and the last couple of years I was in NZ, I managed to run a creative agency, and that combined my sales expertise with my behind the scenes creativeness. And now, after coming back to the UK after being in NZ for 10 years, I started Capital Content, and I'm now the founder and creative director, and we're a full service digital agency. We do photo, video, social, live streaming, podcasting, pretty much anything digital. And what I've found my calling is that I help businesses grow using content. And whether that is, personal brands, small businesses or corporates, I've helped over the past hundreds, if not thousands of people and businesses grow, whether it be recruitment or actual sales, for example, using video and photo content over social media. So, we'll get straight into the presentation. That's enough about me. Why LinkedIn? So obviously you're all here to kind of learn how to kind of make the most out of LinkedIn right now. So there are two stats that I really wanted to kind of cover off before we kind of get into the meat of it all. The first stat is that there are 750 million users over 200 countries. And the reason I bring that up is that a lot of people go, I should only really focus on kind of Facebook or Instagram because that's where everybody is, and LinkedIn is a bit more corporate. Everybody is on LinkedIn also. There's 750 million users and across 200 countries. I think the key thing there is in a post-pandemic digital transformation kind of aspect, digital nomads can work from anywhere. It's all about remote working now. If you can speak Spanish fluently, there's nothing stopping you from working here, but for a Spanish company, and vice versa. You can move to Spain for a month and work for an English company because it's all about all about remote working. So there are 200 countries that this platform operates in. So you can work globally anywhere you wanted to, especially in the generation that you guys are in right now. And it's the most popular platform for digital marketers. And I think if you want to progress your career in the digital industry, you need to be dancing around and performing in front of marketers, right? They're the people that are going to be making the decisions or choosing you as the next candidate to be a social media exec or a graphic designer or an editor or an SEO expert, whatever it might be. So you need to go where the audience is, and the audience for digital marketers, they're on LinkedIn because they're creating content and they're looking everywhere on that kind of stuff. So what I've done is I've kind of broken it down into 4 different reasons as to why LinkedIn. We obviously spoke about kind of why LinkedIn from a platform perspective, but why LinkedIn for you, right? So reason number 1 is you want to conduct yourself professionally on how you want to be perceived. And this is a kind of a mantra that I run by, is that perception is reality, right? What people might find is that you're posting your drunk pics or your late night pics on Instagram stories or Snapchat, whatever it might be. But on LinkedIn, you can be a different person. You can show your professional self and no one's going to take the mick out of you, for example. On LinkedIn, if on Instagram stories, you start posting about how good your architectural drawings were, no one's really going to engage with it, right? No one wants to see that. That's not what the audience wants to see. But on LinkedIn, you're able to show your professional self without having people ridiculing, because that's what they want to see, right? Another reason is that you can connect and grow relationships with prospective hirers. You don't need to go and message them straight away. But what I'm saying is that head of HR, head of recruitment, head of people, they are on LinkedIn, right? That's where you have the conversations to talk about progressing your career, is on LinkedIn and not over Instagram or over Facebook. Reason number 3 is to be able to grow your audience, right? And it's not about thinking about short term and long term. Yes, absolutely, you can grow your audience in the short term, but you've got to think about what your long term goals are. So reason number 3 is that you're able to very quickly grow your audience. And it's not about number of followers, it's about the right type of follower, the right type of connection, right? And lastly, it's a reactive tool during the recruitment process. I think we can all agree that if you were to send your CV out to a head of recruitment, let's say, once they've looked at your CV for like 30 seconds, they're then going to Google you, right? And if the first thing they Google comes up is your LinkedIn profile, boom, that's where you can put all of your corporate or your respective credentials to be able to help get yourself an interview. And the only way you can control that is by putting info into the LinkedIn and making sure you're making the most of your profile. So just as an example, I've Googled Gary Gumbleton. It's a slightly different example because there's not many names Gary Gumbleton. I mean, if you're called John Smith, there might be a few more of you, but Gary Gumbleton, there is only one really. But you can see the very top first 2 on my LinkedIn profile, and it says founder and creative director, exactly who I am and what I do. And then also a little bit of my blurb, and we'll cover this off later. I'm a creative storyteller with a passion for content. That's my tagline, and then it kind of carries on with my actual blurb, my overview from within my profile. So you can control the narrative from a reactive perspective. If someone is about to Google you, make sure your LinkedIn pops up first and not your drunken pics on Instagram. And lastly, just to kind of cover off as to why LinkedIn, the way that I look at LinkedIn is it's the digital version of dress for the job you want, not the job you have, which is like an old school phrase, right? And I think the key thing here is that you might be in a job right now, but you will want a different job in 5 or 10 years time, for example. So what you want to be able to do is show yourself how you want to be perceived and where you want to be in 5 to 10 years time. What I noticed over the pandemic is a lot of people that didn't comment over LinkedIn all of a sudden very sadly lost their job because of the pandemic. And the first time they posted, hey, I need a job, didn't get much engagement, didn't get much support, because that was the first time they'd ever really posted on LinkedIn. If they'd built up a personal brand, if they'd built up some exposure around their audience to say, oh, now sadly I've lost my job, can you help me? I think a lot more people that would have built a relationship with will be able to connect and engage with that post and share and tag their mates and stuff like that. So that one-off post isn't going to work. It's about being consistent and digitally dressing for the job that you want and not the job that you have. Super crucial. Okay, cool. So we're going to go into a bit of a profile breakdown. It's specifically my profile. And I'm not going to say I'm the best, right? I'm not the best. There are lots of people out there that are great. What I've realised is that over the past kind of 12 months, maybe 2 years that I've been focusing on my personal brand, let's say, I have found that 75, maybe 80% of our incoming leads for our business come through my personal brand over LinkedIn. And I'll show you how my profile breaks down and the posts that I kind of create and the consistency and all the hacks that I do. And in fact, I even got this speaking gig through being active and having a strong personal brand over LinkedIn. So let's go through the different sections, right? So this one is that when they go to your page, this is the first thing they see, right? So I just want to go through the header image, the profile image, and the tagline. So the header image I've got here is all on brand. It's all my business colors, my brand kit. I've got the URL there if people want to go and visit what company we are and kind of what we do. For you guys, you might not be working for a company, but think about this digital real estate. You can put anything up there. You can put your phone number up there. You can put your top skills, whatever it might be. Make sure you use that real estate. Profile image. So I've got a relatively relaxed, casual profile image with a bit of color, part of my brand kit sitting behind it. Don't put a graduation photo. Don't put a photo of you on a night out. Get a professional photo taken. You can use your mobile phone. It's totally fine. And then the tagline. Now I've put, as you can see there, a creative storyteller with a passion for content. So I have got a bunch of keywords in there, creative storyteller content. I've also put it in inverted commas to kind of trick people to think that other people have said that about me. They haven't, that's what I've said. A lot of people put their job title in there. People don't want to know your job title until they look at your profile. So leave that in your experience section. Here is a bit more real estate to be able to tell people who you are, not what you do, because your job doesn't define you. Me, as a definition, I'm a creative storyteller with a passion for content. Okay, cool. Let's move on to the featured section. So this is a little bit where you can put your career highlights. You know, I've put here specifically a couple of products that we put. So podcasting and video packages. I've used that as marketing real estate for me and my business. But they're kind of highlights. Use it as a portfolio of work that you've done previously. But think about who your audience is. You must remember who is about to look at this. So if you feel that you want to look, if you want to get the audience of marketing managers, put your marketing portfolio in the background there. Super easy stuff. Links, copy, and you're done. This is the about section. Now, I have written this in the first person. I think it feels a bit better that way. I'm indifferent whether you want to write it in the third or the first. But what I've got here is my tagline. And like I said before, this is what comes up in your Google. So make sure you understand what your keywords are for people that are looking for you. So I've put an emoji there to kind of show a bit of creativity or a bit of color. So I'm a creative storyteller with a passion for content. I've then explained that Capital Content is my business, and I use that as the vehicle. I'm also trying to come across as very humble. Again, this is all sales. Sometimes I'm not that humble. Sometimes I can be a bit of an idiot. But I'm lucky to have a team of experts around me that can translate my ramblings into content. And then what I've also got is social proof. Social proof is what other people say about you, whether it's about you or your business. So I've got some social proof in there. And then a call to action. If you're in marketing, we all know a call to action is super important. So make sure you put a connect with me after this, or drop me an email after that. Because we want people to take action once looking at your profile. Experience. This is sometimes a bit difficult if you're just going out into the big bad world right now. You might not have that experience, but I think recent information is quite key. So in your last role or your last education, whatever it might be, make sure you put information in that one, and don't worry about all of the other jobs that you're going to put in there. People only really want to find out about that first. If there's too many words, they're just going to switch off. We're able to put highlights in there. So I've put my podcast that I put on there, and also my website link, and you'll see those little images pop up. Just a little bit more color to kind of catch people's eye. And then relevancy. Don't put the fact that you were a waitress at a Wetherspoons. That's not relevant. Think about your audience. Make sure you get it right. And you can see that I've got going all the way back kind of 10 to 12 years. If you've only got a year's worth of experience, only put a year's worth of experience. It really doesn't matter. You can't muster up experience when you haven't got it, right? Okay, cool. So that was a profile. And now we're going to go into a bit of a post breakdown. So I'll explain one of my previous posts that's done relatively well and why it's structured the way it's structured. So this one was inspirational post. So I've tried to make, there's one of three things: inspirational, emotional, or educational, right? And this one I'm trying to inspire people as best I can, right? But I've got a hook, I've got a title right at the very top there: Moleskine X Parker Pens. And what I'm trying to show is that this is my way of working, right? I want to try and inspire people by the way that I work. What I've done is I've given a nod to digital. So although I'm talking about changing from one pad to the next pad, that's not that relevant from a work perspective, right? But I'm nodding it to digital, which is the kind of topics that I talk about, saying that in a world of everything digital, it's nice to always have that standard pen and notepad. All the lines are nicely spaced out. There's no large paragraphs. It's quite easy to read. I've got a question at the end there. What about you? That helps kind of people engage with the post. And then I've also put at the bottom here a little bit of humour, which is kind of my personal brand. Moleskine Parker Pens, I'm open to a brand deal, so just slide into my DMs. Sadly, no one's slid into my DMs just yet, but I have had a bunch of requests and follows from people that work for Moleskine. So I'm hoping just like a box of Moleskine is going to rock up on my desk. Who knows? And then I've also attached an image. Sometimes you can attach an image, sometimes it can just be text. I've obviously spoken about specific books, so I've given an image of that book. It's obviously nicely taken, bird's eye, a little bit more of a filter over the top of it, to show that creativity can be taken even on a photo on LinkedIn about a notepad and pen. So that's kind of the breakdown of the post. That got, as you can see, 68 likes and 12 comments. Those are vanity metrics, right? It actually reached over 10,000 people. On average, I reach maybe 5,000 to 7,500 people per week using my personal brand over LinkedIn. again, these are all vanity metrics. It's great to say number of likes and organic reach, but it's about generating business or achieving your objectives using this content. So what I'd love to do is Moleskine to send me a couple of books. That's a great objective. But really what I want is someone to see this post and go, oh, Gary has a great way of working. He's a very cool personality. Let's find out how he would manage our video content or manage our social media. So it's about achieving your objectives, not vanity metrics. Here's another post. This one did really well. So I had a client shoot today, but my wife had to go to work. Frontline NHS nurse. Client was more than happy that I bring my little assistant. Cost me a digestive and half a banana. So again, I'm showing how I work. I'm out on a photo shoot on the weekend. There's a little bit of humour in there and the image. And this is emotive, right? This is the emotive type of post. And it really pulled on the heartstrings. Again, 194 likes. I think I liked it myself. And 19 comments. So, you know, it's not all about posting photos of what you do at work. I've kind of bent this image into me doing some work, but having my boy in there has really pulled on the emotive heartstrings and increased that organic reach. Okay, cool. So we're going to slide straight through these top 10 hacks. I'm going to go really quick, last little few minutes. Number one, post at a frequency you can handle, be consistent. What I mean by that is you don't need to post every day. You can post once a week if you wanted to, but if you are going to choose that frequency, make sure you're consistent and you do post once a week. Number two, 3 different types of posts that you need to write will tick one of these 3 boxes. The post needs to be either inspirational, educational, or generate emotion from the viewer. Make sure you ask the question twice. So if you're writing a post, hey, how's your day going? Write the copy, and then at the bottom, so tell me how your day is going, because they'll forget that they read a question at the very top. Post content for your audience. I've mentioned this a few times. Don't post content for you. Think about what your audience wants to see and post that kind of content. Putting the social into social media. This is a big one. It's all right posting content. I've only ever spoken about content, making photos, making videos, posting them out, but make sure you be social. Make sure you respond to comments or post on other people's posts. The key thing is the power hour. If someone comments on your post, respond to that post within the first 60 minutes of it being posting, because the algorithm will go, oh, this is an engaging comment. This is an engaging post with lots of comments. I'll promote the organic reach. So definitely be social in social media. Don't sell yourself on the first message. I get this all the time. A lot of people connect, and then within 5 minutes they send me a message saying, hey, do you want to buy my services? Delete, you're dead. Don't sell on the first message. Build a relationship first. Good hair days. If you are creating content, if you've written a good post, write loads more posts that day. If the first post you've written or the first video that you've taken is rubbish, stop, try again the next day. Wait until you have a good hair day to be able to batch create content, because it is all about batch creation. Links and shares, don't do it. This is things not to do. Do not post a URL in your post, and do not share someone else's post. Neither of those things are going to help the algorithm. They don't like external URLs because they don't want people to leave the platform. And if you're sharing someone else's content, you're just repeating old content, and LinkedIn doesn't like that. So no links, no shares. Number 9, shoot around your target. If you want to get in front of a market manager for Coca-Cola, don't go and connect with that person. Connect with the people that report to them and dance around your target. If you go heads on, you're going to scare them away and they'll never speak to you. But if you can be in the feeds of their reports, then they will start to like your content and it will get into them, the marketing director, and organically you'll get into their feed, which is a much better way of having a stronger career path or a career direction. Last but not least, number 10, everything that I've spoken about is about your personal brand. We all know Steve Jobs, we all know Richard Branson. They had very strong personal brands. And people that are making the most of it now, like myself, for example, and Stephen Bartlett, they've got very, very strong personal brands, and they're generating lots of business and they're increasing their career left, right, and center. So absolutely, you need to think about what your professional personal brand is over LinkedIn right now, because if there is one thing that I would have told my younger self was to start all of this earlier. And that's it. Thanks so much for watching my talk. If you've got any questions, you're welcome to reach out to me. Come and find me on LinkedIn, connect, follow, all of that kind of stuff. And yeah, thanks for listening. Cheers.